Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video, we are going to be talking about Barbiecore, the interior design style that is currently trending. And when I say like trending, I mean like trending now because it's clearly tied to like a movie premiere, and who knows if this style is actually timeless and going to be around literally in 3 weeks. But I thought I would talk about it because I keep seeing these Barbie homes all over social media and we just got to break that down. So in this video, I'm going to talk about who is this style for, who is it not for, and I'm going to give you some tips on how I think you can get it in a classy and timeless way. And if you want to incorporate a little bit of Barbie in your life, I'm going to help you do it. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I've chatted about Wayfair before, so you have no excuse for not knowing about their fabulous YouTube channel by now. They've got all kinds of different home series content that is hosted by some of your favorite interior design YouTubers, including their series, A Style is Born, which is hosted by Kaz. In the most recent episode, Kaz looks at the history of Art Nouveau, explaining how popular styles like cottagecore, boho, and shabby chic are rooted in this late 19th century style. Kaz also goes in depth to demonstrate the important role of nature in Art Nouveau design through different sort of historical illustrations, furniture pieces, artwork, and architecture as well. A Style is Born does a fantastic job explaining and showing you the history of major design trends and incorporates specific pieces from Wayfair that fit into the design style that is explained in the video. That way, if you want to add some of the Art Nouveau into your own home, you can easily find pieces that make sense for you right on Wayfair. So if you're a lover of Art Nouveau or fascinated by learning about the history and driving forces behind different design styles, which I am, you'll want to check out Wayfair's channel, which is linked in my description. Check out all of the A Style is Born series and make sure you watch the newest episode on Art Nouveau. Thank you again to Wayfair for sponsoring this video. Now let's hop back into understanding what's going on with Barbiecore. So first, let's talk about who is it for. I would say if you're Trixie Mattel, the world famous drag queen, this style is for you. If you're me, then this style is not for you. I don't like pink. I'm not tied to Barbie in any real significant way. I may have a pink sweater on, but this is as pink as I get. This is as Barbie as I get. And so for me, this isn't for me, but this might be for you. And I think it's for someone who really loves maybe a maximalist style, who really loves color, who really loves pink, who really loves things really in your face and bold. If you're looking for subtle Japandi timelessness, this is not the style for you, okay? By the way, quick aside, I met Trixie Mattel in person backstage at the show in Vancouver. She's as lovely and as fabulous as you think. Okay, so now that we figured out who is this for, Trixie Mattel basically, or maybe someone like Trixie Mattel, let's talk about how you can achieve this look in a really beautiful and gorgeous timeless way. And why is this trending? Well, I will say I'm seeing it trending because of the movie. Let's be honest, who is the marketing person behind this movie? Can I hire you? I don't know what for, but you are genius. This movie is everywhere. It is everywhere. I keep hearing about it. I probably will see it, but this is driving, interestingly enough, this is actually driving trends. I'm seeing things on social media. You're starting to see more pink pop up and really saturated pink. This isn't kind of your subtle millennial pink with that little kind of soft pastel baby pink. This is hot pink. This is big pops of pink color. And I think you're seeing this in big maximalist spaces. So we're seeing that overall trend, which has been popular for a couple of years now, which is maximalism, big, bold patterns, big, bold, saturated color. And then you're sort of infusing it in with this plasticky Barbie hot pink sort of design, which is again really just driven by this movie. This style can sometimes feel a little bit glam, for better or worse. You know, it often feels just really big, lots of pattern, and again, lots of pink, a lot of manufactured materials. I would say lots of plastic, lots of acrylic mixed in with shiny hot pink plastic things all over the place, maybe some feathers. It's very feminine, it's very girly. That's part of the appeal of this style. And again, it's very maximalist usually. And that's sort of where I'm seeing it kind of heading. I don't know if this is a style, in my personal opinion, that is going to be with us for a really long period of time, but I think it's kind of this combination of the trend of maximalism, people wanting more saturated color, sort of the pushback against the sort of stark beige minimalism that we have seen being so popular for years, mixed in with the hype of this movie. That's basically what this is. I personally think that some of the spaces that I have seen can feel a bit juvenile, and I think that is sometimes the challenge with this Barbiecore style sort of that is popular. I don't know how widespread this trend is, to be honest with you, but the ones that I have seen can sometimes feel a bit juvenile because Barbie is typically associated with children, and so bright, plasticky, big pops of color so often work for children because this is a children's toy at the end of the day, and I think that that sometimes can make this overall style feel a bit juvenile, which can work for you if that's what you love. If this is your personal style, hey Trixie, I get ya, like go for it. But if you're someone that is maybe looking for something a little bit more subtle in their style, then there are ways that I think you can have fun with this style without necessarily committing whole hog to the big, bold, maximalist Barbie aesthetic that we're seeing all over social. Okay, so my first tip on how to get this look, or my first tip to do this successfully, I think, because again, this isn't my style, but this is just sort of something I think would make sense for you, is really considering if this style is for you. And that is, I'm not saying that because I'm passing judgment on that I think it's a bad style. I am more saying, let's design our spaces so that they're ours and that they're timeless as we can be, and we might have fun with trends like we're doing in this video, incorporating new ideas and having fun with our spaces, but we're doing it in a way that is for us, that we're not doing this for other people, and we're not really, most certainly not doing this to feed into a movie marketing campaign. And so that's, you know, as we discussed, as Barbie is really about this sort of marketing campaign that has taken over the world, I don't think that we should be wholesale changing our entire space just because of a movie. So the first thing I would say is really think to yourself, what did I like 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago? Do I like the color palette? Do I like Barbie? Do I like, you know, that hot pink saturated color? Do I prefer that millennial pink? Am I ready for something that's saturated? Because it can make a big statement to have such saturated color in your space. Do I think that I'm just buying into some marketing hype and this isn't actually who I am? Or is this something that is a fun idea that I never really saw spoke to me until this moment? In which case, go for it. If it's just a trend that you're seeing all over social and you're like, I need to incorporate all this stuff into my space because it looks good and is really hot in this moment right now, personally, I would rethink that. So there are ways that I'm gonna show you throughout this video where you can incorporate this style in big ways and small and have fun with this trend, but not necessarily wholesale changing our entire space to suit a marketing campaign. If you are looking to incorporate this style, I would say try touches of pink. Try anchoring a space with a really big pop of color. Now, I will say there's like kind of a few different levels that you can play with this trend, right? Depending on your level of commitment to the hot pink Barbie. So I think if you are maybe someone who's just wanting to flirt with it and you're just thinking this is maybe a thing that you just kind of want to try out for the next 6 months or so, then flowers, pillows, you know, maybe some curtains, maybe you might want to go as far as bedding, some nice little decor items, maybe display some actual Barbie stuff. That can make sense, especially if you're a collector. You know, that type of stuff might make sense. That's sort of in your personality and something you want to show off, in which case, you know, those pops of pink are going to come through and those little kind of decor accents and things like that. That's a low level of commitment, I think. If you want to go a little bit more and you're thinking, no, I really want to have fun with this pink trend, I would say, you know, mixing in something like your couches, or you've maybe got like a nice, beautiful side chair that you want to have in hot pink, or maybe, you know, like I said, bedding is a little bit on the fence, but if you want to have a little bit more fun, you might get like a hot pink rug or something with that pop of color, or again, that art piece. So going a little bit further there, if you want to really commit to this, then we start talking fixed elements. And that is something that could be super fun, but that's when you're starting to get into more permanent changes to the home because they're fixed to the space. So this is when you're dealing with hot pink stone, or, you know, a hot pink, but like a pink stone in something like a countertop. You could do pink in something like your millwork. You could do pink in tile, and you can really start to see how that's a higher level of commitment. So I would really gauge those hot pink moments that you might be considering, where you sort of fall in terms of your level of commitment to this trend or this color, because it is bold, it is an interesting color, but it might represent you to your core and it's really part of your personal style, in which case, you know, don't be afraid to be a little bit bolder, but I would maybe dial that back if you're someone who's just flirting with this trend. So this would be having those big moments of pink, whether they're in, you know, something like your fixed elements or, you know, even just some sort of simple decor pieces, and then blending that in with some more neutrals. So you might have more like black, white, cream, gray, things like that in your space, a little bit more of some calmer neutrals, but then with those big kind of bold touches of pink that really make a statement, especially if they're one singular bold piece like a couch, which again is a commitment. Because it's sort of its own standalone furniture piece, it can work and can really make a statement in a kind of fairly otherwise neutral room. Okay, and then my next tip for you all is to incorporate in some muted pinks if you think that is going to better suit your sense of personal style. So a lot of what's really hot right now with this Barbiecore trend is the super hot pink, right? Because it's Barbie. That's what's kind of got a lot of people really excited, and especially that combination of that with the maximalism that I mentioned is really sort of driving these really kind of hot pinks being popular. And that's fine, but it might not work for you. And if you say like the idea of a little bit more of a feminine space, you like the idea of having a little bit more fun with color, you love the idea of pink in general, and you really just like the color, then, you know, but you're like, ugh, I don't know if I could live with that long term, I would consider dialing back some of the saturation in some of those color choices. So you don't necessarily need to go for a hot pink fur throw. You can find something that's a little bit more muted. So I go on about color theory. I could go on about color theory all day, but when you add gray or black and white to a primary hue, you dial back some of the saturation, or you sort of add white, it becomes a lot paler. If you add black, it becomes a lot darker. And if you add gray, it sort of desaturates it a bit. And what that does is creates a color that is a little bit more muted. And so often, especially in contemporary design now, people often like a little bit more of some muted colors. So that might make more sense for you. If you're thinking that the hot pink is really heavy, it's really bold, and you're like, yeah, it looks kind of cool on social media, but I'm not sure it's gonna work in my own home, but you like pink in general, then maybe consider dialing that back a little bit. And you might find that you arrive at some colors that are a little bit easier for you to handle in a space long term. It's gonna give your eye a little bit more time to rest. It's not gonna feel as intense, and it's not gonna feel so jarring. So instead of what I talked about earlier, where you've got a fairly neutral space with those big pops of hot pink, you might find creating a space that maybe even incorporates more pink than that, but just done in a little bit more of a subtle and muted way. And it might be something that is easier on the eyes, and is maybe easier for you to actually incorporate into your own space. Okay, next up is going to be to have one Barbie moment, I would say, which is kind of a fun way of doing it. So not necessarily fully committing to the all-around Barbie dream home. So you might not necessarily make it feel like it's super Barbie, but you might want to have fun with an art piece, like getting a poster or something from, you know, Etsy or something like that, and then go and get it framed. That could be kind of interesting. If you have dolls that you actually want to show up, whether they're in packaging or not, I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm doing here with the whole like Barbie like trading community. I don't really know, collector community. I'm not really, whatever you need to do, display those if you love them. Maybe a nice book about like the history of Barbie, right? Maybe it could be a poster that's got Barbie on it, but taking it beyond that one sort of pink piece and really just kind of having a little bit of fun and playing with Barbie in a little bit more of a significant and specific way, as opposed to just borrowing the color. So this is, to me, a little bit further on down the path towards your Barbie dream home, but it's actually incorporating some Barbie in there, sort of a little bit as art, as kind of like a pop art moment, which would be kind of fun. So that could be a cute way, fairly low commitment if you're just going for a Barbie poster and framing it, for you to have fun with this sort of thing and not necessarily full on committing to the whole Barbie experience. So it becomes just that pop of Barbie, not just the pop of pink, but the pop of Barbie without it being the whole space. That could be a fun way to incorporate in this trend. Okay, my next tip is going to be luxe, not cheap. And I mean, this is just me, and I would just say that if you are trying, this is my own thing, but like if you're really trying to make this not just a home that is there for literally for a movie premiere, and then it's gonna look dated, like literally as soon as this leaves the theaters, then I would say if you love this trend and you love the idea of this trend because you like the pink, you like that feminine touch, you like the sort of girly sort of thing that it's kind of creating there, but you want it to have a shelf life beyond a movie, then I would say incorporating in some little more luxe pieces rather than necessarily just going for super cheap stuff. So what can happen when you have these loud, big, bold, maximalist spaces, especially if you've got a lot of stuff that you might be buying and you might not have the budget for it, it can sometimes feel a bit easier to bring in some sort of kind of cheaper pieces that are plastic or acrylic, or they might just, you know, rhinestones or sparkles or whatever. So getting some of those pink pieces, but maybe done in a way that feels like it's going to have legs beyond the movie. So this can be, you know, pink marbles can be absolutely gorgeous, things in like a rose, things like gorgeous flowers that are amazing, things like the aforementioned posters, things like books, things that are not just specific to this moment, but are something that you can incorporate into your style. Because clearly, if you like this style, there's something in here that you're obviously enjoying, hopefully beyond that movie. And therefore, there's some kind of interesting luxury pieces that you can kind of start to incorporate in that feel really fun. These don't necessarily also have to be super expensive. Like I said, a poster on a wall can be cheap. A book can be fairly inexpensive. Thrifting great pieces can also be super fun. There's lots of different ways that you can kind of bring in pink, but not necessarily do it in sort of a cheap and gaudy way, but something that feels a little bit more classic and timeless, because I don't think that it's both sustainable or a good strategy to sort of have your house change out based on a movie. I would say incorporating in some quality pieces, quality rather than luxury, I think is maybe the better way to put it, that are going to actually last you for years to come. Okay, my next tip is going to be kind of tied into the last one, but I think it's really important to break it down because people don't really think of pink when they think of this, and that is natural materials. So I am a big fan of natural materials personally, as you guys all know. So first of all, if you are considering touches of pink, not necessarily your whole house being pink, then there's lots of natural materials that are opened up that are in the gray, beige, you know, cream, white sort of space, neutrals, or other colors that you might be incorporating into your space that are natural, that would look really gorgeous next to pink, but not necessarily scream pink and might not necessarily fit right into that Barbiecore. So again, if you're doing these pops of color, pairing pops of color with more natural materials and something a little bit more neutral can look really gorgeous and timeless and amazing. So you're still getting that pop, but still pairing it with something natural. But even amongst natural materials, there are gorgeous pink marbles, different sorts of different types of pink stone. You could have fabrics that are dyed in pink. You can get linen, cotton, all sorts of different natural materials that can also be done in pink. So don't necessarily assume that pink is always artificial. Of course, you've got flowers, plants, all these things are natural and can come in pink varieties. And so I would just really consider that, again, if we're moving beyond the movie, we're starting to think a little bit more long-term, there's some really cool natural materials out there that can be done in this color that can still perfectly and beautifully fit into this color palette that will make a lot of sense for you. So that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Do you like Barbiecore? Let me know what you think. I'm seeing it all over social media. I don't know if I'm loving it from, well, I'm definitely not loving it from me. I don't know if I'm loving it in general, but I still think that there's ways you can fit this in while still trying to create a space that is beautiful and hopefully a little bit more uniquely your own than just a copy paste job from Mattel. So that's what I'm hoping you get from this video. So I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.